Hello, this is Carlie Hamilton and I'm here with you for another scrapbook process video. This one is another layout that I'm doing for my Korea album. Now my Korea album is a little bit different than what I've ever done before, mainly in that, well, for a lot of reasons. One is I specifically want to try and use up a lot of my older papers in this album, even if I've fallen out of love with them. I've sort of selected a whole heap of my older papers to use in this album, and that makes it kind of challenging, especially if I have fallen out of love with them. So I have created some pages for this album that I don't really like all that much, but at the same time I am happy to be using up product. Another thing that's strange about this album, I guess, is that I have a lot of photos that I'm trying to fit into 40 pages. I'm using up a postbound album and I can't get this album anymore. Well, I haven't been able to source it anywhere else, as well as the refills. So I've got strictly 40 pages and I want to use them all up. So I also have a lot of photos. I took this trip with a whole heap of friends, and so I've gotten a whole heap of their photos as well. And so all my pages pretty much have oodles and oodles of photos that I'm trying to use, and not all of them make it to the page. As you see here, I've cut one photo out already for this page. I thought that it wasn't really needed, and yeah, so I'm fitting a lot of photos onto these pages. So what I'm doing now is I have decided to mat these two photos together, and I couldn't make the other photos work with the mat, so I'm going to try something different. And because I'm using a lot of older paper, as you can see here, this little clear folder is full of all my red paper scraps. So I'm pulling out a whole heap of red papers that I think might be able to go on this layout so that I can get them used up. The background paper is from a Dear Lizzie line, and it's an older paper, but it's new to me. So I am mixing some old papers with some new papers that I still love. This layout here is from the Palace in Seoul in Korea. I can't quite remember the name of it off the top of my head. My trip to Korea was actually really strange for me. Usually I'm a over planner. I'll have everything sorted out, all the places that I want to visit sorted out. But for this trip, I sort of took the back seat and went with the flow and let everyone else organize it around me. So it was very unusual for me, and there's a lot of places that I visited that I'm going to have to do a bit of an internet search to find out what they're called, because I can't for the life of me remember. And I can't for the life of me pronounce it either. Whereas I can look at a photo from Japan and I'll be like, yep, it's this place. I know how to pronounce it. I have really clear memories of it, but for Korea, it's all a bit of a blur. not a blur so much as that I just because I didn't take that active planning part of it, I'm not really sure if I can remember the names of the places that I visited. So I'm using a lot of my scraps here to try and piece together some kind of coherent layout, and this is basically how I'm going to have the layout. I'm pretty satisfied with how this is looking, so I'm going to start gluing everything down with my doubles. So this layout took me about 48 minutes from start to completion, which is maybe a little bit longer than I sometimes take for layouts. I've been doing a lot of watching YouTube videos and things like that while scrapbooking lately. I find it really good motivation. but it's also a tiny bit distracting, so I'm not there was a time where I could pump out a layout every half an hour and I'd knock out quite a few in a night, but I haven't been doing that recently. No complaints. I've been enjoying scrapbooking a lot, so of course there's no complaints. So I'm just still working out how everything's going together and slowly sticking it all down. And then I believe here I'm doing a bit of inking of edges along the edges of the layers, just to give them a bit of definition, and I think it helps sort of make the layout more cohesive, like it belongs together, because I am scrapbooking a whole heap of different reds here, so the ink sort of ties them all together. And what I use often for inking of the edges is Versamagic chalk ink in the Jumbo Java colour, and it's in a teardrop shape, and I find it really easy to just ink straight onto the edge of all my papers. There you go, I hold it up for you there, my Versamagic. So for this trip I actually took it with a whole heap of friends that I made in Japan. I lived in Japan for a year, and at the end of our stay, before some of us were going home, some of them were staying, a couple of us were going home, we took a trip to Korea together. So it was a lot of fun, really great, and I think I really want to go back just for the Korean barbecue. There's a lot of sites that I didn't get a chance to see. I can't even remember. I think we were there for 10 days and it was amazing. It was also a bit of a, I don't know, an eye-opener. I felt like a bridge between Japan and the Western world, or like home in Australia in a way. Just because the people and the noises, like, it felt more loud and it felt like people were a bit more expressive, like people were showing more emotion, and it was really confronting, even though it's, you know, it's normal, it's fine, but it just felt confronting because I'd been in Japan for so long where those kind of things aren't shown in public as much. So finally sticking down everything to my background using my double-sided tape, which can be a bit of a pain to get off there, but it sticks well. I haven't had a problem yet anyway with things falling off, even if I only use a little bit of it. Now I'm pulling out a whole heap of embellishments from my embellishment drawers, which is right near my desk, so I don't even have to get up. But up the top there you can see I pulled out a box which has all my black, white, greys. It also has gold and silvers in that. It's like buttons and things you can see most clearly. I brought out some ribbons. What I'm leafing through now is my red, yellow and orange die cuts and stickers, my flatter embellishments in those colours, and I'm pulling out just a range of stickers that maybe I could use. Now I'm leafing through that dimensional box and pulling out some grey and black buttons. Actually, a lot of these buttons are directly from clothing. I seem to get a lot of clothes with black buttons, and I keep all the spare buttons that come with them. And so this is a Project Life mini kit, and I've converted it into a box to store all my red, yellow and orange dimensional embellishments. I find this box really easy to leaf through. I like it. Okay. So now I'm just playing around with all the goodies that I've pulled out, trying to find placement for all of them. And I decide to use this sticker here. I'm going to use it as a journaling spot, but it's a little bit stark. It feels like it needs to be dirtied down to match the rest of the layout. So I put some of my ink on it just to make it a little bit dirtier. And it goes really well there. This is a little piece of chipboard. I think I got that for free or through a rack or something like that. And I find that these set even though they're adhesive, they don't stick very well at all. So I added a bit of glue there. And now just playing around with the rest of my embellishments. I didn't really pull out much for this. I don't have much embellishments for these kind of colours. I sort of mainly gravitate towards the pinks and the blues and the greens, which you might have noticed with a lot of my layouts. But I do have a fair bit of red paper, like scraps left over from my Japan album. I've completed well, 2 albums actually, not from when I lived in Japan, but when I went there for a holiday before I moved there. So I do have a bit of red paper left over from that. And I didn't really, I think, purchase many red embellishments because I used a lot of travel related embellishments. So this is some lace ribbon that I got in a pack. I can't even remember when. And I really like it behind there. So I've got this ribbon adhesive, and it's just it's like a glue dot, except it's a long line, and it's really great. The packet has lasted me years and years and years, even though I do use a fair bit of ribbon on my layouts. And you just, put your ribbon on it, cut it off to the size, and then peel it off. So I really love that stuff. The brand I have it's called Zots, I believe, and I will definitely be buying that again once my packet runs out, if it ever runs out, because it does last years. So if you've seen my videos before, I'm always trying to get washi tape under layers and always do poorly at it. So it's the same with this ribbon here, trying to get my ribbon under the layer nicely. But it worked out in the end. I needed to glue down that little arrow that I stuck down as a sticker, but it wasn't sticking very well, so I glued it down. And now I'm just placing some buttons, and I think that the layout, if I'm going to use these big black buttons, I think it needs some like smaller black buttons to just sort of balance it out. So I get back my embellishment box and I search through it a bit, trying to find some smaller black buttons that I can use. So I place them in, and I'm using the line stuff to like the ribbon adhesive. So I just stick a button on it and then cut it off to size. I find that really easy to do, especially with the smaller buttons. I do have some glue dots, but they're a bit big for those smaller ones. And plus I have this out, so it's easy enough to do, to just to cut it down to size. So as I said, this was the entrance to the palace in Seoul, and we're just at the front gates with some guards there. And so for my title, I pull out some red stickers that I've got, and I had to check in my album to see if this was going to be the main page, but it's not. This is going to be the second page for this palace, so I didn't need to look up what the name of the palace was, because there'll be a page before this. So I decided to call this one Entrance, just because I'm terrible at titles. And that other sticker sheet that I liked better, I liked the font better for this page, but I think I didn't have enough ease on that page, so I pulled out this letter sticker sheet. They were both from Doodlebug. I have quite a few Doodlebug letter sticker sheets that I purchased a long time ago, but I don't know, I'm a huge fan of a lot of Doodlebug's embellishments. As usual, I use my tweezers to place the letters down. I find it just much easier to position the letters on the page with my tweezers, so that's why I use them. They're actually lost one of the little squishy bits on the sides recently, which makes me sad. And these are some more bling from Kaisercraft that I bought a long time ago as well. They've gone the distance. They've survived through my whole Japan album. Most of the really tiny ones are gone. The tiny sized dots are gone. But yeah, awesome pack. I don't know how many are in it, maybe over 100 maybe, because I've used it a lot and it's still going. And that's what I'm calling done. So I'm holding it up closer to the camera for you there. And so here's some close-up photos for you. I hope you've enjoyed this layout. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. I love hearing what you've got to say. And thank you to all my subscribers. I love you so much. And that's it. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.